just form a fucking wall.
O'Neal deep in the post, lots of contact there. Oh, what a block by Wallace! What a jump ball!
Pistons down 4, 12-8, 7:38 to play in the first. A burst from Rodney, stuck into the rim. Count that baby and a foul. Reggie inside for Andre and a dynamite dunk.
Pistons fans, welcome to another edition of the Palace of Pistons podcast. I am your host, Brendan Johnson, back with you again this week. After my two partners here, well, I don't know, they just kind of trashed me on the pod, as usual when somebody misses. Aaron Johnson, Ryan Paye, the whole crew is here this week. And boys, I'm going to forget maybe some of the words that may have been said last week about my absence, and it is really good to be back with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for showing up this week. You know, it's good that once a week we all get together and record a show. It's nice that you can make it this time. You know, I know once a week is a big commitment for you. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for showing up, Brendan. Aaron, I'm happy to be here. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great, Ryan.
It's good to see you.
Yeah,
it's good to see you.
Hey, it's great to see you, boys. I'm so excited for this week's episode, but I am very sorry to announce that the Russ watch is complete. Russell Westbrook is headed to Houston to reunite with James Harden. And does the Western Conference continue to get more interesting? Yes, it does. Paul George, Russ Westbrook, both out of OKC. Paul to the Clippers, and now Russell is headed to Houston in a deal that sent Chris Paul and several first-round picks to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So kind of an interesting move. One that some reports are coming out saying, hey, as soon as Paul George was traded, Harden and Russ got on the phone and started working this kind of deal out. But overall, not something that a lot of people saw from the national forefront. It was Detroit and Miami were two big conversation points, and people were debating, hey, could Russ come to Detroit? Would he fit? What would you have to give up? What would you want in return? Things of that nature. And, I mean, we just put out a roundtable on palaceofpistons.com about it before the trade went out. We're, like, talking, hey, I don't know if Detroit's the right fit for Russell. Guys seem pretty, against bringing Westbrook to Detroit. Well, I guess it worked out for at least all of our staff writers that participated in that, because Russ is headed to Houston, not to Detroit, not to Miami. And we'll get into maybe what we think happens with Chris Paul and stuff in a minute, but let's just start Russ, Aaron, in Houston.
Yeah, you may say it's unfortunate that Russ watch is over. I'm going to say amen that Russ watch is over. Because now that burden of worrying that the Pistons would pull the trigger on an aging superstar that's a poor fit with the team and has an albatross of a contract, it was worried that the Pistons may have pulled the trigger on that, but thankfully Ed Stefanski didn't. Thankfully, there was really no report that Russell Westbrook was interested in ever going to the Pistons. It seemed like it was a one-team race with Miami, and then Houston kind of came out of nowhere. But, the thing is, as much as I don't think Russ would have fit in Detroit, I think he has a chance in Houston. Harden and Russ are good friends, and they're going to kind of have that chemistry to where Russ is not the best player on the team. Harden's the best player on the team, and I don't really know how to explain it, because Houston has kind of some of the fundamental issues that Detroit has. They don't have a center that can shoot the ball. Clint Capella can't space the floor. And then they're going to roll out P.J. Tucker at the 4, a guy that can hit threes, but probably not a guy you want to give a ton of three-pointers to. So the spacing probably is going to be a little wonky. But the thing with Russ is...
Wonky?
Yeah.
Okay, nice one. I haven't heard you use that one before.
Thanks. The thing with Russ is, though, having a guy like Harden that's going to command so much attention, but is a deadly shooter, but also just probably the most talented offensive player in the game, that should just kind of help open things up for Russ. And not that Blake Griffin isn't a great offensive player, but he's just not as good as Harden. And Harden just does some other things. Harden... I think it can be a better fit. I'm not saying it's for sure going to work. I just think it has a better shot of working in Houston than it would have in Detroit. And Well, I mean, you just have to be happy that the Pistons didn't pull the trigger on a Westbrook deal. I know that it was really a 50-50 split from what I gathered through Twitter and Facebook of people wanted Russ, people didn't want Russ. But at the end of the day, for me, I looked at the contract, I looked at the fit, I looked at the age, and I looked at those things, and I just determined that it didn't make sense for the Pistons or Russell Westbrook to link together.
Aaron, honestly, I couldn't agree with you more. And I understand if Russ came to Detroit, would they be a better team? Yes, Russ would make them a better team. But how much better, essentially? And you would be giving up, I mean, based off that Houston deal, you would have been pretty much mortgaging your future. And you wouldn't have been able to surround Russ with shooters. You need shooters around him. And who is shooting on this team right now, honestly, outside of Luke Kennard? Who? Svi in his 0 minutes a game?
Yeah,
I mean
it's going to rely on Tony Snell. But
Snell,
we'll
you're going to need Snell to be a big-time shooter.
Yeah.
Blake's only shooting, 35% from 3, 36? So it's not like he's shooting out the gym.
And unless if something changes, and don't take offense to this, Aaron, I don't think it's going to be Bruce Brown either.
It's not good. It's clearly not Bruce Brown as of right now. So I get when people saying, yes, they wanted to bring him in, because he would make the team better. Yeah, I mean, he would, but how much better? And yes, it would add excitement. It would put butts in the seats at LCA. I mean, there would be some real juice around the team. But it would make them more relevant again. And I get all that. But there are big moves to be had all throughout the league. Things we didn't even see coming, i.e. Paul George getting traded to the Clippers. Like these Blake Griffin getting traded to the Pistons. These moves are out there. Guys are getting traded all the time now. There is another big move to be had.
Ooh.
Anyway,
Ryan Paye is calling his shot.
There are big moves to be had in this league. And Russ Westbrook was not the right big move for the Pistons.
I like that. Because I agree. I think there are big moves. I think there's always going to be a big move in play at some point.
Always.
And I think
Anthony Davis. I mean, it's there.
I think that teams have to be smart in not just saying, because he's a superstar, we need to get him. It has to be the right superstar.
Don't just jump at the first big move. Like, you can, I'm not slow play it, but you can take your time and evaluate. Because there are a lot of big name players in the league right now. The league talent-wise is the best it's probably ever been.
Yes.
There's a lot of talent in this league. And a lot of talent constantly becoming available. Because right now, in this day and age, in this league, it's a 2-3 year window for teams. And then they're like, all right, it's not working. And players have the power. All right, I want to move. I want to get out of here. So trades are happening left and right.
Yeah.
No one stays put for, 8-9 years. You don't see that anymore.
The only team you see it with so far, at least it's looking like, is Steph and Clay and Golden State.
Yes, outside of that.
They are going to be, barring an unforeseen, they're going to be career guys in Golden State.
Absolutely. But a lot of guys just nowadays are on the move.
Yeah.
There are big moves to be had in the NBA. You guys, it's only July 12th. The offseason is not over. Tom Gores, we all know, wants that big move. And Stefanski and the rest of the front office say, he lets us do our job. He lets us do our job, and he's awesome. And I believe that. But I also believe he is dying for a big move. How many times has he said, I don't care how far in the luxury tax we go. If we move the needle and we're I will take it. There are big moves to be had. Russ just wasn't the right one for the Pistons.
And as talented as the league is, it's a little more spread out now to where you think there's, you could think one of two ways about that. Well, now there's more teams to get through. But the flip side is maybe there's not, especially with KD out for Brooklyn in the East this year, maybe there's not the super team to get through. If Detroit found a way to make one big move, could they compete for a title? Probably not, unless if it's some surreal move. But there's no reason why Detroit, with one or two big moves in place, could not compete in the Eastern Conference.
The time is now for the Pistons. I think we both all agree here that they can make a big move now and be a contender. Milwaukee, yes, they have Giannis and they have Middleton and the Lopez brothers and all that good stuff. But letting Malcolm Brogdon walk, I think is going to prove to be a huge mistake for them.
Agreed. If you had to pick between Middleton and Brogdon, Are you?
Or even they've decided Eric Bledsoe over Brogdon.
Well, and that's also true.
So,
but I know they're different positions. But I mean, if you could only pay one guy, would you have paid Middleton or would you have paid Brogdon?
What do you think? I think Brogdon, honestly.
See, it's not even a question for me. I would pay
He's
Middleton.
a Chris Middleton
He's a
stand.
Middleton
No,
guy.
he's a
slappy.
I'm just thinking
my
a
God.
6'7", point forward, an all-star level player, a very good defender, shoots the 3 ball at an elite rate.
Elite? What's he shoot? I'm not.
I mean,
that's
he's
an honest question.
40% 3-point shooter.
Okay. I didn't know what his percentage was.
He can. He's a very good 3-point shooter.
Is he the number 2 option on a championship team?
I don't know, but Malcolm Brogdon surely isn't.
I agree with that.
And the thing is, it didn't even have to come down to that for
It really
Milwaukee.
didn't. It really didn't.
They could have went into the luxury tax and re-signed Malcolm Brogdon, but for some reason they thought, "Oh, we were a game away from going to the NBA Finals. We don't need him." Like, we were literally a shot away, or what? No,
the only thing they had to be thinking is he got hurt, and we maintained, and we got the 1 seed. Like, maybe if we just move forward and cement Bledsoe in that starting role, and we keep those other guys that got us to that point, with Giannis getting better and a cemented starting point guard.
That's just bad thinking. Pay the luxury tax when the NBA becomes as open as ever has been in recent history, and go after a championship. The thing is, Malcolm Brogdon is a good player. He's just not a second or third, or he may not even be a 4th best player on a championship team. That's why I'm a little skeptical of Indiana this year, because they're going to be playing without Oladipo till, January, February?
Probably around then.
And Brogdon's going to be, if not their best and second best player for that stretch. I'm a little worried. I don't love Indiana, and when I said that, it got some mixed reviews, but that's another topic for another time when the season comes closer. But back to Milwaukee, and back to Brogdon, it just didn't make any sense that they didn't re-sign him.
I don't know. I feel like that was just a guy who brought the juice for them. I know he was hurt at times, but
he was so good.
I feel like
he
he
came back.
brought that team
And you have to think, was the injury maybe? Is his injury likeness why they didn't want to pay him the max and why they wanted to go? Or not even the max. I know he didn't get that in Indiana, but pay him a nice chunk of change.
$80 million, yeah. If they could have made a move to kind of replace him, then I would have accepted it a little bit better. But now they're banking on either Sterling Brown or Dante DiVincenzo to kind of fill that gap. And I'm not sure either one is really up to task.
That guard depth was what made them so good.
They're good and dangerous.
I mean, they had Giannis, right? They have a good center in Brook Lopez. They could shoot the ball. They could stretch the floor. They're athletic.
Look at who they lost. They lost Brogdon, Snell, Nikola Mirotic.
Mm-hmm.
That's a team that lost.
Hold on.
That's
but they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. John Lure is going to replace.
He got waived.
He got waived.
Oh,
you missed that.
Wake
up, Brendan.
Wow, sorry. Scratch that from the record.
Brendan not paying attention to the league transactions.
Sorry, I didn't pay attention to John Lure. Yikes.
Jesus, Brendan.
Hey, they got his. Hey, you know what? They've got him off the roster now. They upgraded.
But anyway, to my point, yes, Milwaukee will still be there at the top of the Eastern Conference, but I don't know. I feel like losing those 3 guys is a hit.
They are not. They are not untouchable.
Right, exactly. And then Toronto. Yes, I get Toronto did well without Kawhi last year. But now you're going the full season without Kawhi and Danny Green. So are they open to some, open to being beaten up a little bit? Who knows? Are they vulnerable? The Celtics, what are they? I mean, no Horford, no Irving. Yes, they got Kemba, but where are they at? And then Philly, they're going to be a good defensive team. And those are those big 4 in the East.
I'll tell you what, and Philly's exciting, but I've got real reservations about them too. Just in terms of they don't have that that spot up shooting guard. I mean, unless if Richardson can be that guy. They have good length. They're going to be a good defensive team, but they could have some weird offensive possessions.
It's going to be weird, especially when Al Horford misses 30 games. And Ben Simmons goes through his struggles because Ben Simmons hasn't found his jump shot yet. I'm very much worried about the spacing. Tobias is going to have to hit a great percentage from the 3-point line.
He's got to be 37, 38 or better.
At least. Josh Richardson's, he shot 36% from the 3-point line last year. He's going to need to shoot better because Simmons can't shoot, Embiid can't shoot, and Horford's bound to miss time because Horford's getting that age. And Horford's bound to start regressing at some point. I know that he's been able to withstand some of that natural regression that comes when you hit a certain age, and he's hit that certain age. So it's going to come sooner or later. Maybe it's not this season, but in the very near future, he's going to start slowly not being the Al Horford that we've all known and recognized as a great player.
Al Horford has 4 career years in Philly.
That'd be crazy. That'd be absolutely crazy.
I'm also very worried about their depth.
Yeah.
I'm worried about it. They have, Zaire Smith, Mike Scott. They re-signed James Ennis. And then I feel like they got actually a decent backup center, but I can't remember who. They re-signed TJ McConnell. I just don't love that depth. And sorry, but Embiid's kind of still an injury concern. We saw that in the playoffs last year. Horford's an injury concern. Okay, your 2 of your best players are injury concerns. And your other best player, Ben Simmons, he can't shoot the ball. So it really limits how good he can be on one side of the floor. Ben Simmons is a great distributor, but what happens when he's passing to 1.5 guys that can shoot the basketball at a clip you're really excited about when Horford's out?
Right.
Because, again, Horford's going to miss time. I don't know. Philly probably should still win the East. They should still be the best. They should still have the best record in the East. That being said, there are very much holes and concerns about their roster.
So, back to this then. My whole point being wrapped up after all this. We just broke down the top 4 in the East. Are any of them insurmountable?
No.
Terrify you? That
I don't even think
way
Toronto's a top 4 team in the East.
No, they're not.
That's what I'm saying.
Open. It's all open.
I'm just going by last year's Big Four. You know what I mean? So, Jimmy Butler to Miami, but Miami, did they really get a ton better? I love, me, I love Jimmy Butler, but what's around him? Right. Honestly. So that's the whole point to what I said in the beginning is nobody in the East right now is insurmountable. There's not, like last year it was Milwaukee and Toronto. You're like, who's really getting past them? Those are 2 giants, right now for the East. And the Pistons are 1 move away, big move away from being there. And I know Stefanski sees it, Malik Rose sees it, Pat Garrity sees it, and Tom Gora sees it.
Sure.
It's a long offseason, fellas.
Here's how I think you sum this up too, right? There's not one team in the East. Let me pose it as a question. Is there a team in the East that could go out and beat any of the top 3 or 4 teams in the West in a 7-game final series?
Yeah, I think there is. I really think...
You think so?
I really just don't know if there's a team that's untouchable in the East. I really think...
You mean in the West?
He's talking
in the
about,
West.
like the best team in the East. Could the best team in the East hang with 3 or 4 of the best?
Misinterpreted.
I'm saying that there may be 3 or 4 teams in the West that could make the finals that even the best team in the East could not beat.
Shoot. I probably would agree with that.
I mean, is there anybody in the East, at least looking at it right now, that could beat the Clippers?
No.
Not that I know of.
And to me, Houston's a big question mark because the Russ thing could really work out. And if it does, then, that makes them legit. They've got a real nice defender or whatever, a good point guard in Russ. Now James Harden can open up some more shots. Maybe he doesn't have to shoot as high of a volume. It can really just be ultra dangerous. What are you guys' thoughts on Utah, too? Everybody's drooling over Utah.
I like Utah.
They did have a nice offseason. Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic adding alongside Donovan Mitchell, who now he's got some real players that are offensive minded. Joel Ingles had a not so great season last year, and Rudy Gobert can only do so much scoring inside. There just wasn't a ton of offensive options around him. Now Mitchell has that help, those scoring pieces in Conley and Bogdanovic. The Utah should be a top 4 seed.
Yeah.
In reality, if Donovan Mitchell's a star, and if he's on his climb to superstardom, and now he's got an all-star level point guard, a very good complementary forward alongside him, a defensive player of the year candidate in Rudy Gobert.
Dude,
that's a team
but
that
the West
compete.
is just so interesting because now we've talked about 3 teams, and then there's the Lakers in the mix, and then
Golden
Nuggets,
State,
the Nuggets,
Portland,
and that was who I was going to go with, right? So there's the Nuggets, who 2 seed, they were competing for the 1 seed. They bring back pretty much everybody. They have chemistry, they should take a step forward. But the West, just top to bottom, maybe got a little tougher because it's more balanced. But then, there's Portland. They get Nurkic back, but are they going to finish worse this year than last year? Can they compete with, can they be a top 3 seed in the West?
So bringing it back to the Pistons scope, Ryan, you've said this big move. There's going to be a big move. Who's that big move?
Because maybe that big move gives the Pistons a chance.
You guys, all right. I think there's only one big move to be had, and I think we all know what it is, and I think Pistons fans will know what it is. I think Pistons Twitter knows what it is, and that big move is Bradley Beal. We talked about it last week, Aaron, and I said we just needed to pump the brakes on it real quick because it's not going to happen like within the next week.
Right.
Bradley Beal's going to get he's going to be extended like guys, I'm tripping over my words right now.
Contract extension.
Contract. Am I Aaron Johnson? Am I Aaron Johnson right now? Just tripping over my words.
Did I just help you? And
Did
then
you
you
help
just take
me?
a shot at me?
Yes, I think I did.
Hey, that's that's a little wonky.
Tripping over
right
my
there.
words. It is wonky.
Wow.
Man,
Wow.
am I Aaron? When did I decide I was Aaron? But anyway, he's going to get a contract extension offer. With the way Washington looks right now, I don't think he's going to take it. I think conventional wisdom says he does not accept that extension. I don't think I'm wrong. I think everyone agrees.
Why would you?
And that's when it opens up the possibility of a trade for Bradley Beal. Mm-hmm. And the Pistons have the assets to go get him. Yes, the rest of the league will be chasing it as well. But I think that move can be had for the Pistons. And that is a move, when you think about the East, that really vaults the Pistons right into contention.
Absolutely it does. Because now you'd have an elite wing, and you'd have Blake Griffin, and I mean, you'd probably keep Andre Drummond in the deal.
Yes.
You know, so it'd be
You got to find a point guard.
You have to,
Is it Derrick Rose your starting point guard?
Bruce Brown. What? Sorry.
Get out of here.
No, you'd have to find a point guard.
No doubt. A point guard would have to be found.
But I'm okay with even short-term starting Rose. I'm okay with making that exception because you can figure it out.
You guys, I believe that move will be there. Not just for the Pistons, but for the league.
Yeah.
That's another superstar that will be opened up.
And the Pistons got to be willing to sell for
And
Beal.
you have to sell for him. I'm not saying Sekou, Luke, all the first, Bruce, and just throw it all at him. I'm not, but there's got to be some sort of line where you're like,
no,
yeah, we're going to give up some assets.
Absolutely.
Bradley Beal's not that guy that's like 28, 29 like Blake was when he got to Detroit.
Oh, he is.
He just turned 26 years old.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
As Ryan blushes sitting next to me. He just turned 26, okay? This is a guy that averaged 26 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, is a very good three-point shooter, career 38% from the three-point line.
It makes you blush because you're not trading for an aging, injury-prone superstar.
Right.
You're trading for a guy who's just hitting his prime at 26.
Beal has played 82 games apiece in his last 2 seasons. So he didn't miss a game over the last 2 seasons.
Which is why I
77
feel like that price is going to be steep.
Which it should be.
It absolutely should be.
If Boston, or if Washington has any brains, they should be saying, in Detroit's respect, it should be Luke, Bruce, or Luke, Sekou, Bruce, and at least a first, and then probably a pick swap or 2, or Luke, Sekou, 2 firsts, and a pick swap.
Would you be willing to give up both Luke and Sekou?
Absolutely. Look, we're talking about a star, and I think a lot of people believe the ceiling of Kennard is a very good starter, but not an all-star level guy. Bradley Beal's an all-star level guy, right? I get it. Sekou's kind of that mystery guy, unknown. But when you're talking about an all-star and you're trying to win now, you pull the trigger. And that's tough because I'd very much like to see how the Pistons look down the line with Luke and Sekou and all these other young pieces, Bruce. I'd very much like to see how that looks. But if you can go get an all-star that vaults your team into contention, you do that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. It's just not that much of a question to me. Another guy that could be thrown in a trade, Svi Mykhailiuk. He's a guy that around the league has value. People like Svi because he shoots, he can handle it, and there's just something about him. I don't know why he has that. I don't know why
mystique about him.
I don't know why he has that compared to a guy like Bruce, who maybe is the better player right now, but I don't know. Like people would want Svi maybe in a trade like that as well. So maybe it's not
to me.
2-3 first, but it may be Luke's, and Bruce, Sekou, Kyrie.
To me, it's like, hey, anybody is or everybody, you could touch. Like, the only person untouchable to me is Sekou. I don't want to give him up. Now, if you have to make the trade, I'd probably budge. But I'm doing everything I can to hold on to Sekou. I don't care if that means you're throwing in an extra first-round pick. Even if you're doing an extra first-round pick and another pick swap, I would rather do that because I think Sekou has a chance to really be something special. Because if you get Beal, who's 26, and by the time he's 28 and he's maybe hitting that maybe 2-3 year stretch of being in his prime, all of a sudden Sekou's coming around. Sekou has a real nice, maybe third year in the league. And then all of a sudden it's like, dang.
I got to make a point here. You only sell you only give up all your assets for Beal as long as you're getting that contract extension too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's clarify that because he's going to come off the books, and you're only making that trade as long as Beal is ready to sign that extension, put pen to paper, and re-up. Because you're not going to sell the farm and take a risk of him leaving after the season.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you fellas, Brendan, especially with you. For me, if like you said, nobody is untouchable, but I'll do everything in my power to keep Sekou out of that trade.
Yeah.
Even if it's, hey, here's Luke, Bruce, Kyrie, and picks on top of Reggie Jackson to make the money match and all this stuff. I'll do.
Oh yeah, obviously.
I'll do I'm more than willing to give up all of that before moving Sekou, to be honest.
Luke, Bruce, Kyrie, Svi, 2 firsts, 2 pick swaps, and let's go home.
Yeah.
I'd be ecstatic if you could keep Sekou.
If they kept Sekou and Bruce Brown, Bradley Beal is a Piston, I'm fanboying all day. Fangirling all day.
Seriously. Stefanski, can we get
put the cape on him. Put the Superman cape on that man.
Maybe an executive polo that says Stefanski on it instead of buying his jersey.
But that's the whole point. Even the greater point is there are trades and big moves to be had in the NBA. And Russ just wasn't the right one.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you, there was a part of me that was intrigued by Russ coming to Detroit.
Oh, I think everyone had that moment of clarity of being intrigued.
If he had the ability to either if I didn't think he was going to come in and just be a total a-hole in the locker room and bash heads with some young guys or bash heads with all of Detroit media and just be this bad guy, maybe if he fit within the offense better, maybe. But there was something really intriguing about, hey, if you get Russ and you have Blake, maybe you could maneuver Andre or something and build something around them that works. But in the end, I think I agree that it was the right choice not to go after Russ because the best point made was don't just go after the first guy that becomes available and you're in the conversation for. If it was the right fit and you had the right pieces and you could work it out, that's one thing. If he's the first guy. But Russ was not yes, he fits, let's do it. So don't just go chasing to get something when you could be patient and maybe make the most out of it. It's like it's poker.
Yeah, I agree.
It's poker.
I absolutely agree. I don't know. There's big moves to be had. I keep saying it, and it's redundant, but there is. In this league, in this day and age of the NBA.
Well, if a big move is had, you know what? We have a starting point guard option. At least somebody at this table might believe. Bruce Brown, the Summer League machine.
In the Summer League.
He's been playing well for the Pistons in Summer League, and Aaron is all about it.
Look, Bruce Brown is making all the right plays, and you got to watch the film on it because it doesn't matter about the stats. Because in reality, Bruce Brown could probably have 25 more assists if his bigs could catch the basketball because the way he is setting up the rest of the Pistons Summer League team, like, he should have been playing point guard years ago. He is making great passes, running the pick and roll, skipping. He's doing it all. Just watch some film on the passes he's been making. His finishing is so much better, the way he's exploding towards the rim. You know, we talked about how he was jumping too early in his rookie season. He was going up too early. He's not doing that anymore. He's going up with a ferocity. He's playing with a better energy. He looks like so much of a better player. And the way that he's passing, the way that he's finishing, the way that he's defending as well, while taking on that role of being the point guard and being the best player on the Summer League team, this is a guy that is ready for the next step up in the big leagues.
I don't disagree with any of that. But let's talk about a little take you had on Twitter.
Let's do it.
I believe yesterday. Whispers, I wish the Pistons hadn't signed Derrick Rose so Bruce Brown could be the backup point guard. And let me just say, hot take alert.
Hot take central.
Who is scoring off that bench if Bruce Brown is the backup point guard without Derrick Rose?
Let's go through the bench. Bruce Brown, Markieff Morris. I don't know if even are we including Sekou in the rotation right now?
I am.
I mean, for argument's sake, I guess. Because honestly, who knows right now? But
okay,
let's just do it for now.
So then you have
Thon
and Svi or Kyrie.
Yeah.
I mean,
no points to be had off that bench at the NBA level. Markieff Morris is going to put up some points, and that's about it.
Markieff, Svi or Kyrie can score.
I said Markieff. Markieff's going to put up some points.
Svi and Kyrie can score. Sekou can score the basketball a little bit.
Oh, I'm not.
He's not going to be a
no,
guy.
I'm not saying he's going to be some dud. I'm just saying in his first year in the league,
You're not going to expect.
Let's be a little cautious there.
Yeah, we're not going to expect consistent scoring at a decent level out of him because that's just not fair.
Well, hey, let's put it this way: the Pistons make Bruce Brown their backup point guard, then they have another $7.5 million this year to spend on another guy that could help off the bench. Then they don't have $7.5 million locked up next year for free agency that they could use. That's why. It's not that. I mean, Derrick Rose is a better player right now. I was not saying otherwise, but I'm saying
that's garbage. You were.
You have a cost-controlled player in Bruce Brown that can play the role that Derrick Rose would play, and then you'd be saving money to address a hole this season. And if you're smart, you sign the player to a one-year deal, so you have more money for next offseason. Because I'm all about getting some of this money off the books and having money to attack free agency, attack restricted free agents, a Karis LeVert, a Jaylen Brown, attack some of those guys, and then if all else fails, you go to the trade market. And then you have the cap space to absorb a big contract without having to match salary. I don't understand why my take was such a hot take. I just don't. Because Bruce started 56 games for them last season.
Yeah, but
he's going to play a role on this team. And what he's done, it's not just he's averaged the league or Summer League leading 8.3 assists per game. It's the actual passes. It doesn't matter if they make the shot. It's how he's setting them up. It's the reads he's been able to make.
Sure.
It's the efficiency he's been able to run the pick and roll with and all the other type of passing plays you can make. It's how he's done it. It's shown that he is not just...
Right. I agree with all that. But the point is, how does he do that at the next level?
He doesn't have... Yeah, you can't just say, hey... let's, especially if the Pistons we're going to go after Bradley Beal, we're going to make a push. You can't say, hey, we've got a guy that, I don't know, has never played point guard in the NBA, never played point guard in college, and guess what? We're just going to make him our backup point guard. Listen, it's a great thing to see Bruce Brown doing this in Summer League. It's a great thing because it gives the Pistons some extra depth, right? Then you have to decide going forward, hey, is Tim Frazier a guy that you use as your third point guard? Maybe Bruce slides into that role. I mean, who knows? But you can't just say, hey, because he's tearing up a bunch of Summer League guys, he's going to be fine as our backup point guard. It's a great thing to see, but we need to see it at the NBA level. So play him. You can't.
He's not just going to sit on the bench.
But you can't just gamble and say, well, if it doesn't work, we'll just. I mean, what? Okay, we don't have a great backup
For a
point guard.
team supposedly in win now mode, that can't be the option. Bruce Brown is your backup point guard.
Exactly.
A guy who hasn't done it at the highest level yet.
Then he's never going to be able to do it. If you're never going to play him at point guard in the NBA, then what the hell are you developing?
There's a difference
Never.
between.
There's development time and then there's just throwing them in when you're in win now mode. You can't just throw them in right now.
Haven't we always said the Pistons are in win now mode, but they're also looking towards the future at the same time?
And that's
Because
why
if
Derrick
that's the
Rose was
case,
signed.
Exactly.
And that's why Bruce Brown's getting summer league minutes, and he'll see mop-up minutes at point guard this year in the NBA.
Fine.
And then next year will be the next jump up.
Seku's not going to be in the rotation if you're in win now mode. And I guess Bruce isn't going to be in the rotation if you're
Well,
in
it
win
depends
now
on what
What are you
Sekou looks like in
talking about?
training camp.
Aaron.
You can't make that call right now.
No, but Aaron, here's
But you can make the call of, if you're in win now mode, Derrick Rose needs to be your backup point guard this year, with Bruce Brown seeing a little bit of time in that role. Because, yes, he's showing he can do it right now in Summer League. But these are Summer League guys.
Here's the other
compared
thing.
to the NBA guys.
Here's the other thing. D. Rose can also slide to the 2, and Bruce Brown can run the 1. It can very much be a, hey, we're going to kind of let you guys rotate. It's literally just, it doesn't matter if you're the 1 or
at
the 2.
the end of the day, it's
you
about-
can coexist.
Those
about
assurances
building
are there.
Combo guard.
At the end of the day, the Pistons have an insurance in Tim Frazier. So if Bruce Brown wasn't the greatest backup point guard, they have a guy like Tim Frazier that can step up. And then at the end of the day, it's about saving money. It's about building for your future. And it's about getting a guy to develop at another position to not only make him more valuable for your team, but more valuable in the trade market as well.
Derrick Rose can also be valuable in the trade market. If he comes to Detroit and has a real nice...
Yeah, that's the hope until he misses another 35 games.
Hey, you know-
we say the same thing with Derrick Rose every year. That's why I'm so mundane on the signing. Every year it's, this could be the year that Derrick Rose comes back and is healthy and does this and that. And look, he may have a couple good months to start the season, but then he's going to get hurt. And he's not going to be the same player that he was. That's just how it is at the end of the day. We've been doing this whole charade with Derrick Rose for quite some time. Isn't it just a little boring at this point?
I think a mistake you're making, Aaron, is you're looking to next offseason, which I agree, because I like Karis LeVert and running at Jaylen Brown, and I get all that. But from everything that's being put out by the beat writers, the Pistons want to be players in 2021, not this next upcoming offseason after this upcoming season. So that's why you're seeing that 2-year deal on Markieff Morris, that 2-year deal on Derrick Rose.
Right, you got two,
it's
you
not
got,
about
you got 2 years of Tony Snell, I believe. Right,
Yes.
you have the year, then
Yes.
there's the option.
It's not about the next offseason. It's about the offseason after that.
Then isn't that kind of changing to what we talked about all this past season of how it's for next season, how it's all for next season?
I guess it kind of does.
In a way, but at the same time, that's why guys like God, I keep saying Bruce Brown, Derrick Rose, and Markieff Morris were brought in a trade for Tony Snell happened to take that next step, even if that next step's a small step.
Right.
It takes him that next step. But you're right. But I think this round table right here has always said it's about next season. But we're not in the front office. What if in the front office it's always been about 2021?
Right.
And we just made up that
Wait,
narrative.
so then if it's all about 2021, then spend this year developing Bruce at point guard. Give him time.
Aaron.
If it's
But
not a
there's so-
high pressure
it's a
situation,
weird-
let Bruce get some of
It's
those
a
minutes.
weird and funky
and-
situation.
Yeah.
Because it's about winning now
So,
with
what
the
it
look in
is-
the future. You're right about that.
The way to look at it, though, is, right, they want to be players in 2021. But to be a legit player in 2021, if you're just, this garbage team that's, been a 9 seed.
Oh my God.
Listen,
Don't tell me that the difference between Derrick Rose and Bruce Brown makes his team trash.
no, just listen. I let you finish all your points earlier, so shut up and let me make my point now.
You're just wrong.
I think you're wrong, so let me make my point.
Well,
No, let me make my
your
point.
Make your stupid point. Jesus.
Ryan and I are saying that Detroit's looking, it looks like they're going for the 2021 offseason. That's when they want to be a player, right? But if you're a 9 seed that misses the playoffs, or even an 8 seed that gets swept 2-3 years in a row with Blake Griffin, with Andre Drummond, and all of a sudden you say, hey, you have 2 2021 free agents that are going to be highly regarded, right? At least Andre Blake will see what his health and age and all that is. But my point, if you are consistently missing the playoffs or getting swept out in the first round, then what star's going to want to come to Detroit? But if they see Detroit make like a Brooklyn run where they got into the 6th seed, they contended with a team that had a very legitimate chance to make the finals, and now they have a chance to take what they have, a guy like Andre Drummond, let him walk and upgrade over him to take that next step, Detroit puts themselves in a much better position. And Bruce Brown, Aaron, I get why you would want to play him at the backup point guard. But at the end of the day, to use your line, you're not going to take a guy that's never played NBA minutes at backup point guard and just make him your backup point guard. You're just not going to do it. And yes, I understand you have Tim Frazier. That's fine. But there's a reason Tim Frazier was signed to a 1-year deal to be the 3rd point guard, not to be your number 2. So if Bruce Brown doesn't work out, all of a sudden, Tim Frazier, who's a 3rd point guard, at least currently in his status of the NBA, is slid into having to be a rotational guy. And then you don't have a 3rd point guard in place for when Reggie gets hurt. So you're not just going to say, throw Bruce Brown there. That's not smart for his development. But what you can do is you could take Derrick Rose on a 2-year deal, who then comes off the books coincidentally for that 2021 offseason, and you could let Bruce Brown, learn from Derrick Rose, see that backup point guard role, and then if Derrick Rose is going to get hurt for 30-some games a year, maybe Tim Frazier doesn't slide up. Maybe Bruce does slide over, and you give him that chance. You're not locked into, we have 3 point guards, so Bruce has no chance of playing the point. You can make some maneuvers. And if Derrick Rose stays healthy, Derrick Rose and Bruce Brown can combo up as the point guard, shooting guard in the rotation. It doesn't really matter. If the Pistons say, hey, we need to focus on Bruce developing some as a point guard, and that's a focus of what we want to do, hey, Rose, you're going to play off the ball a little bit. Bruce, you're going to initiate the offense. Or even as the 2 guard, Bruce, you're going to be put in a position to run some pick and roll,
and that works,
to distribute.
And that absolutely works, because guess what Derrick Rose did in Minnesota this past year? He played off the ball a little bit. So it gives you the time. Also, if you really are looking to it and he's showing that he can do it at the NBA level, Bruce Brown, you can move him in and slide him in at that backup point guard spot too.
Absolutely.
Derrick Rose is not the difference between this team competing in a playoff series or not.
I don't know. I actually disagree with that.
If your backup point guard is the reason that you're competing in a playoff series or not, then you have a serious problem as a team.
Well, a lack thereof and no scoring
having
on
Derrick
the bench
Rose
could be a reason.
And having Derrick Rose and not being able to play Bruce Brown at point guard, that also means one of Sphere or Kyrie is probably both of them actually, because if your backup unit is Rose, Bruce, Sekou, Markieff, Thon, then that means neither Kyrie or Sphere, 2 guys that you're invested in, are sitting on the back end of the bench. If you can play Bruce at point guard, then that means either Sphere or Kyrie could step up and get some minutes. But now you're going to have 2 guys on your roster that you would like, that you consider part of your future, because the Pistons consider both of them part of their future. Well, now you have both of them on the back end of your bench just sitting there.
Well, so there's a couple questions, right? First of all, does Sekou crack the rotation this year? I want him to, because I think that's important for his development that he's playing. But let's say he doesn't. Well, then you either put Svi in, or if Kyrie's higher on the depth chart, you run a little small and you bump Bruce to the 3 and you let Kyrie run the 2. And then it's still, you can run that 3-guard lineup where, hey, Bruce can initiate the offense and Kyrie and Derrick Rose can both play off the ball. You could still get creative with things. I just think that you're underestimating the value of backup point guard, because Bruce Brown has not proven.
I've never underestimated the value of backup point guard, because I've watched Reggie Jackson get hurt for 2 years in a row. I watched what happened when Ish Smith got hurt. But like I said, when you watch the film, Bruce Brown is making reads. It's not like he's going to not be able to make these reads at the NBA level.
No one's
and then you have Tim Frazier. And then you have Tim Frazier.
Darn it, Aaron. No one's disputing this.
There's no loyalty to Tim Frazier. It's a 1-year deal to be the 3rd point guard. But if you, like Brendan said, if you feel Bruce Brown is just taking over, boom, he's in the backup spot with Derrick Rose playing the 2 off the ball.
Yeah.
And they're
Okay,
playing combo guard
and
like.
then Kyrie and Svi are not in the game.
All
Or
right.
Sekou and Svi, or Sekou and Kyrie are not in the game. And for the first time in forever, the Pistons have some damn youth on their roster. Shouldn't they be using it? Shouldn't they be developing it? Because playing Luke and then Bruce and having all these other guys just sitting on the bench, not getting any minutes, what are we doing? This team isn't good enough to win a championship
All right,
anyway.
if they're not good enough, get rid of them. Blake's got to go. Drummond's got to go. That is the point you are making right now.
The difference is a guy like Sekou can hit. Bruce Brown can end up being a good player. Who knows what Svi is? We just talked about the mystique that Svi has. Maybe Kyrie can be a good bench scorer. These are different guys that should be getting minutes than what we know Derrick Rose is and what we know Derrick Rose is going to end up being. Okay? There's just a difference. Bruce Brown is playing at a level that shows he's ready to play at the NBA level. That shows he's ready to play the point guard position at the NBA level.
But you didn't. Okay, hold on though. You didn't know that though at the beginning of free agency. You didn't know that.
No, but that means you
Hold
didn't
on,
have to
hold
sign
on.
Derrick Rose day one.
Aaron. But the problem is the top level backup point guard options were all gone by the beginning of Summer League. So let's say Bruce Brown goes out in Summer League and struggles playing the point. You're screwed. You're screwed. You don't have an option. Okay? So let's say free agency started after Summer League, or let's say that you saw 2 or 3 games out of Bruce Brown. Well, maybe Detroit would have considered not signing Derrick Rose. But you didn't know that. You had to sign a backup point guard. And Derrick Rose is the guy that you got, and he was on a very reasonable deal, given what some of the other backup point guards in the league that were in free agency got. You got him on a pretty friendly deal. And the other thing is, Aaron, Derrick Rose becomes a guy that if he has a solid even first half of the year, and Bruce Brown has a solid first half of the year and shows that he can do it, you can trade him. You can move him, because then there's going to be a team that needs a backup point guard or maybe needs a short-term rental starting point guard and sees that Rose is playing at a high level that you could sell to. And even if it's on the cheap, you maybe just get an expiring back. Doesn't matter. Then the money comes off the books anyways. And you slide Bruce into the backup point guard role, and you slide Kyrie or Svi into the rotation. You're not just Xing them out of the franchise forever, but you've got to also take an understanding of if Bruce doesn't work out or doesn't show flashes in Summer League of being a legitimate backup point guard option, you don't have one. And that's not an approach you can just take.
There are still backup point guards on the market right now that if Bruce Brown didn't work out, you would be okay with.
But Derrick Rose
Raymond
is a
Felton,
next level guy.
Devin Harris, Shelvin Mack. Shelvin Mack is a fine backup point guard that you can go get. Okay? It's not a home run signing, but it's a guy that you can survive with while you try to develop these young guys that are going to be a part of your team down the line.
Can I say, though, the difference is, so what's the difference of having Shelvin Mack and Derrick Rose? Like, I just don't.
You could sign Shelvin Mack for less money into a 1-year deal.
But if Shelvin Mack is in your rotation,
no, he doesn't have to be in your rotation.
But I'm saying if you would have signed him because Bruce Brown didn't look like a legitimate backup point guard option, and Shelvin Mack was in your rotation, then you still have Kyrie or Svi or both as the odd men out.
Yeah, at that point you do. But I'm saying this based off my belief that Bruce can play point guard.
I'm okay, but you have to also be fair and respectful to the Pistons that, hey, even if Bruce can play backup point guard, we have no scoring in the second unit. We have to have a point guard that could score or a 2-guard that could score, okay? And
Kyrie and Svi can score the basketball and they can shoot the basketball.
Not proven at the NBA level yet, though.
That's what my whole. It's the same thing with Bruce Brown.
But you can't put 3 guys in the rotation that haven't proven it. Because you have Bruce, who's never proven to be a backup point guard. Svi and Kyrie have not proven they can consistently, in a rotational
Did Bruce
basis,
Brown
score.
prove last year that he could start at shooting guard for a playoff team? No. The Pistons just did it, and it worked.
It kind of worked until he started catching the ball wide open in the corner when you needed a 3, and he just put the ball on the ground and did a little dribble handoff like he was a damn center at the top of the key. They can't shoot the ball.
Did he start? Did the Pistons make the playoffs? Did he defend the other team?
We're talking about one spot versus 3 spots here.
I know.
That's the difference.
There's still going to be 2 odd men out. Even
Still.
it just, Aaron, God almighty, man. Like, I just...
Getting a backup point guard was a paramount move, no matter how well Bruce Brown did it in the Summer League.
I agree.
Because Summer League's one thing, doing it at the NBA level is the next thing. And now the next step for Bruce Brown is proving he can do it at the NBA level. Because you're right, he is making the right reads. It's not about dominating the competition at the Summer League level.
Absolutely.
It's about, is he making the right reads, making the right plays? Yes, he is. So he's showing he's got the ability mentally to do it. But it's a different beast physically.
Sure.
From the Summer League to the NBA level.
Because, hey, you're playing against a lot of guys that may not get contracts in the league.
Yes.
You know?
And the Pistons just weren't in that spot to take a full-on chance on it and then hope for Shelvin Mack on the back end.
Right.
They're just not in that spot for a team that's trying to compete. That's not a risk you take.
Absolutely.
That is not a risk you take. Absolutely not.
Well, Bruce Brown did it against at least 2 NBA-level point guards, Anthony Simmons for the Blazers and Aaron Holiday for the Pacers. And he did it against a very good defensive team that was playing Zaire Smith at point guard and Matisse Thybulle at shooting guard for the Sixers. So he did it against 3 teams with guys that are going to play on
rookies and second-year guys. You're right. Let's do it against veterans. Let's do it against the big-time guys.
These are guys that are going to play for their respective teams.
Second year is in rookies. Okay.
You got to develop a guy. You got to develop him. What are you going to do? Sit him on the bench and he's just going to become a player?
Aaron,
That's just not what happens.
You're not, can we move on?
Over his head. He's missing the point. He's missing the point.
You're 100% missing the point.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, he hates Derrick Rose, and he's super invested in Bruce Brown. And that's all it is.
I don't hate Derrick Rose. I just don't think he's as good of a player as everyone else thinks he is. And it's just that. And I know he's going to miss 35 games. And I know the world collapsed on Reggie Jackson when he missed time.
All right, then he misses 35 games, and there's Bruce Brown in the backup point guard spot.
I was going to say, yeah.
There's no loyalty. We're overvaluing the fact that Tim Frazier's on this team. There's no loyalty to Tim Frazier. Sorry, Tim Frazier. I'm sure you're a fine man, but it's a 1-year deal as the third backup. It's the third point guard. There's no loyalty to him. If Bruce Brown is showing I can do it at this level and Derrick Rose gets hurt, he's going to slide right in.
There's no chance for Bruce to do it, though, when he's not being put in that role.
Aaron, Derrick Rose can play off the ball, and Bruce Brown can
it's
be
not
put in that
gonna be-
position. And if Bruce Brown cements... if you can put Derrick Rose and Bruce in the same rotation, and they can... split time playing both as the point guard and off the ball, just back and forth, right? And Bruce proves that he can do it. Then you have the option to move Derrick Rose and slide Kyrie or Svi into the rotation.
Then you still have the problem of your 2 backup guards cannot shoot the basketball.
What?
Bruce Brown and Derrick Rose, neither of them are reliable 3-point shooters, which is a whole other underlying issue of having both of those guys.
Sure, but at least
coming off the bench.
But at least Derrick Rose is a playmaker, and Derrick Rose shot the ball pretty well last year. I get it. I can't.
That's the one thing I can't work with that. I can't work with
that.
I'm on Aaron's side. I can't work on that.
But and I get it. But I'm just saying, there was a flash shown that he could shoot the ball well last year.
I'm not even debating that.
I'm not gonna rule that out as a possibility.
If anything, he's a bucket getter.
I'm not gonna
put some points.
I'm not gonna bank on it, but I'm not ruling that out as a possibility either.
Not even give that my breath.
Okay, what will you give your breath?
I don't know. You're the host. You come up with something.
Well, I feel a lot of tension right now at this.
No, there is a lot of tension because we just don't agree on this.
Yeah.
It's the Pistons aren't going to be robotic and hey, Derrick Rose is here. You can't practice at backup point guard. We can't play with the lineups. Nothing like that. It's not, you guys. It's not going to be robotic. It's Derrick Rose is the absolute 1. Bruce Brown, you're the absolute 2, and we're not changing anything ever. That's not how Dwayne Casey works. Yep. He's going to filter things in. He's going to do what works. He plays deep lineups. He goes 10 deep on his bench. He's going to figure things out. He's going to let things develop and play out as they must.
Right.
But for a team that's looking to win now, even though they have sights set on the future as well, you need a proven scorer at least.
Oh, for sure.
And Derrick Rose can give you some points off the bench.
And let's not forget, too, another guy that we haven't even talked about is Langston Galloway. Where does he fit in?
Does he? Does he fit in?
Dwayne Casey loves Langston Galloway. It's irresponsible to not include him into the mix of potentially in the rotation because Dwayne Casey loves him some Langston Galloway. And you know what? When Langston Galloway's shooting the ball, he's not a bad rotational player. He's just not always shooting the ball well.
I'll say this. If there's a big move to be had, which there is, he won't be on the team.
Fair enough.
His money's going to have to be moved.
Fair enough. Aaron?
He's not good enough to crack the rotation at this point. There's too many other players on the team that play at his position that can do it at an either acceptable rate compared to him or more likely a better rate than him. And when you're paying a guy $2 million compared to $7 million, and he's younger and part of your future,
Can we get a cold cloth over here? Can we get a cool cloth? Like, Aaron's face is beat red.
No, this table is hot. This table's hot.
Beat red. Boys, just a friendly
It's just not
debate.
that serious. It's just not that serious.
It's a fun debate. It's okay. Right? Aaron's wrong, but that's okay. I'm the host. I can say it.
Didn't know I was sitting at the table with Derrick Rose's two brothers, but...
No, not even... No.
Aaron. Okay.
Derrick Rose stands are the worst.
Yes.
We're not even standing Derrick Rose. We're just saying it helps... we're not getting back into it.
You understand.
We're not getting
the
back
people
into it.
listening understand, and they're probably on one side or the other. We'd love to hear from you. You could shout us out on Twitter at Palace of Pistons or A Johnson NBA, at Ryan Paye, at Media Brendan, because we'd like to hear from you. We're on Facebook now. Comment on the post, maybe get some activity going in the Facebook groups. We're here for you guys, right? Let us know your thoughts on this. Whose side are you on? Ryan and mine or Aaron? And I'm not gonna lie. It was really, really nice, Ryan, to be on the same side.
We were on the
same.
same.
It was great doing business with you.
It's been a long time.
It really has. It really has.
Very long time.
But we just we executed a great deal today. It was good times. Aaron's the odd man out. That's okay. His face is beet red. It's okay. But I mean, man, you look like you've gotten some sun with how red that face is.
Look, sometimes you have to go against the grain. Sometimes you have to go against the mold when you know you're right. And I'm willing to do that.
When you know you're right. I call that wonky. And I think we'll leave it on that. So, Pistons fans, let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. We appreciate you again, as always, supporting us. Reminder that you can find us on iTunes. We're on SoundCloud. So like, rate, review, subscribe to the pod. The YouTube channel's growing. Right, there's no reason to not check that out. You can find the podcast there, as well as you can find some other exclusive Palace of Pistons video content. You don't want to miss it. Of course, the website continues to churn out great content every day. PalaceofPistons.com. Be sure to follow us. Be sure to keep checking us out. Share the pod. And we will see you next time here on the Palace Pistons podcast.